Forced into marriage with the Russian emperor, a Prussian princess's dreams are shattered when she discovers his true nature, compelling her to plot her own path to ruling Russia. Catherine is spending the day with her friend Angeline. During their time together, Angeline informs her about the news that her family is on the verge of losing everything. However, Catherine remains optimistic and doubts the news by mentioning that they recently had strawberries, an expensive treat. She then reveals her excitement about her upcoming wedding. Surprised by the revelation, Angeline questions whether her fiancé is aware of her family's dire circumstances. Catherine dismissively replies that the Emperor of Russia, her fiancé, is indifferent to such matters, leaving her friend flabbergasted. Meanwhile, Catherine, filled with anticipation for her married life as the future empress, contemplates getting a cute bear as a pet. Upon crossing the border into Russia, Catherine kisses the ground in homage. Soon after, the bride-to-be reaches the palace, where she undergoes a cursory examination and is promptly rejected by Emperor Peter due to her lack of height, though this rejection was merely a crude joke which the emperor is fond of making. Undeterred by the mockery, Catherine makes a romantic gesture by presenting a spruce branch. She explains that the spruce is an evergreen, retaining its leaves throughout the year, symbolizing enduring love. However, Peter dismisses it as a mere twig and questions his attendance if Catherine is mentally challenged. His bride reassures him that she's of sound mind and explains that she was simply trying to reciprocate his poetic letter, where he expressed the idea of warming the kingdom of Russia with their love. Unaware of having written anything, Orlo admits that he wrote a little something. Peter unwittingly answers Angeline's question, revealing that he's well aware of Catherine's family situation, and in fact, it's precisely why she was chosen. He requires an empress from the aristocracy, but from a relatively unimportant family, and Catherine fulfills this perfectly. Before parting ways, Peter informs Catherine that their wedding will take place before dinner and advises her to be prepared, as he bluntly remarks that she stinks. Shortly thereafter, Archbishop Samsa presents himself as Catherine's spiritual mentor, along with Marial, who's assigned to be Catherine's personal maid. The Archbishop then announces that it is time to assess Catherine's purity. Seeing Catherine's confusion, Marial quietly informs her about what's about to happen. Following the imperial wedding, General Velementov, captivated by the Empress' beauty, introduces himself to Catherine. Peter, hearing from his wife about the sight of scattered and wounded soldiers on her way to the palace, expresses his disappointment towards the general as he rises to deliver a speech. Moments later, Catherine meets Aunt Bet, the significantly younger sister of Peter's late mother. Bet requests the new empress to treat her nephew with kindness. Peter's speech commences with his expression of longing for his mother, the former empress of Russia. However, he proposes a toast to his new wife, the current empress. As glasses shatter to the cries of "Huzzah!" Catherine interprets this as a cue to speak but is promptly silenced. Shortly thereafter, a bear is brought in as Peter's wedding gift, and Catherine is thrilled at the sight of it. On that evening, while preparing for the consummation of their wedding, the Empress confides in Marial about her dream. In it, a bear embraced her and set her heart ablaze with a great love. Interrupting her reverie, the maid asks if Catherine knows what to anticipate that night. The Empress confidently shares an overly romantic viewpoint on a wedding night. Taken aback by the ignorance, Marial simply agrees. As they hear Peter approaching, they quickly make themselves ready. Still in conversation with Grigor, Peter's best friend, the Emperor waltzes into the bedroom and proceeds to consummate their marriage without interrupting his discussion about ducks. The encounter is brief, and shortly after, he bids his wife good night. It turns out to be far from the romantic experience Catherine had anticipated. The next morning, the Empress lists 3 things to achieve in Russia: love Peter, make him love her, and find culture and education. As Catherine is writing, Marial enters the room to serve breakfast and inquires about her evening. The Empress acknowledges that her expectations were unrealistic and attributes the disappointing experience to their lack of connection. Determined to establish a stronger bond, she chooses to have breakfast with her husband. Entering the dining room, Catherine orders her personal hangover remedy for the Emperor. Feeling better, Peter introduces his wife to his mother's mummified remains, which are still kept within the castle because he cannot bring himself to bury her. Afterwards, he leaves Catherine in the company of Georgina, Grigor's wife, to introduce her to other ladies of the court. Peter, on the other hand, sets off to do men's things, such as chasing Velementov. Georgina assumes the role of Catherine's closest friend and confidant, suggesting that the Empress will need someone to rely on in a court full of gossip mongers. Catherine soon becomes acquainted with the other ladies and discovers that Russian women are uneducated and illiterate. Their daily activities revolve around discussing fashion, engaging in gossip, or playing games. Observing Catherine's lack of interest in women's things, Mariel opens an opportunity for the Empress to excuse herself. However, this prompts Lady Svenska to confront Mariel, reminding her of her position as a servant. Georgina mediates the dispute and assures Catherine that they'll meet again the following day and every day thereafter. On their way back, Catherine inquires about the argument between Svenska and Mariel. The maid reveals that she used to be a lady of the court, but due to her father's mistake, their entire family was demoted to servants. The Empress and her maid quickly develop a strong friendship, and Catherine advises Mariel to be cautious so that they don't lose each other. That night, Catherine endeavors to please Peter, but she's shocked to discover Georgina in bed with him. Still, she swallows her pride and shares her husband with her supposed dearest friend and confidant. The morning after, Catherine has a conversation with Grigor, who struggles to explain the complex dynamic between his wife and the Emperor. On another day, Catherine joins Peter on a hunt. During their time together, she expresses her desire to contribute to Russia by opening a school. Although the Emperor is indifferent to the notion, he grants his wife permission to establish her school. After their discussion, he instructs the men to engage in men's things. The next day, Catherine visits an abandoned house that she intends to transform into her school. Mariel expresses her desire to learn as well and guides the Empress to the abandoned library. Inside, she unexpectedly encounters Orlo, who is embarrassed to be caught crying while reading a book by René Descartes. Catherine shares that she'd met René before, noting his peculiar scent of cheese but recognizing his brilliant intellect. The Empress mentions her quest for books to stock her school for women and extends an invitation to Orlo to join her in the endeavor. During a separate gathering, the leaders engage in discussions about their war efforts. Velementov reports on a recent defeat, expressing his belief that the outcome would have been more favorable had others not interfered with his commands. This statement provokes Peter, but Orlo agrees with Velementov, praising him as a brilliant strategist. Upon hearing Orlo speak out of turn, the Archbishop accuses him of taking pleasure in their losses. This prompts the Emperor to threaten Orlo by suggesting that he make a marble disappear where the sun doesn't shine. When Peter inquires about winning the war, Orlo suggests seeking guidance from the Archbishop, as they embarked on the war based on his divine vision. However, Velementov interrupts the emerging argument by announcing a loss of 1,800 men. Peter expresses his distaste for losing, as it means the limbless soldiers can't dance in the ball. Upon the general's bold claim of winning, the Emperor grants Velementov complete control over the war against the Swedes. Shifting the topic, Orlo praises the establishment of a school for women. Both the Archbishop and Peter are taken aback by this revelation. Soon, Catherine's dream is burned down. Catherine confronts her husband, hoping for understanding, but he only reaffirms his belief that women are solely meant for breeding. In a fit of anger, he hurls a glass at her, warning her never to deceive him again. During their next breakfast, Catherine's efforts to bridge the gap between her and Peter only serve to emphasize their lack of common ground. Gradually, her initial romantic feelings are replaced by hate. While doing men's things, Peter vents his frustrations to the Archbishop, expressing his unhappiness with the wife he envisioned. Later, the Archbishop engages with Catherine, emphasizing that an unhappy emperor can have far-reaching consequences for millions of lives. However, Catherine asserts that she has already made sincere efforts with Peter. In an attempt to provide further motivation, the Archbishop reveals that her family depends on the financial support from the palace, threatening to withhold it. He advises her to pretend happiness, suggesting that there's also a sense of joy found in suffering. On a pleasant day, the Empress is dozing in the sun when Velementov shields her from its rays. Despite her enjoyment of the sunlight, she appreciates his gesture. They briefly discuss the ongoing war, hinting at the unwise decisions made by the Emperor. He remarks that it's a game that must be won in order to safeguard the lives of men. Velementov then departs, still stricken by Catherine's beauty. Reluctantly, Catherine joins the party at Mariel's reminder. During the event, Arkady introduces to the Emperor a new invention called a sight, which aids in aiming. He proceeds to test it out in front of the guests. Tensions reach a boiling point when Peter shoots Catherine's bear, prompting the Empress to slap him in anger before storming off. Seeking solace, Catherine retreats to the library, with her husband following her. In Peter's presence, she breaks down, expressing her heartbreak over missing her family, longing for intellectual conversations, and even yearning for strawberries. She pleads with him to allow her to return home, but her husband firmly states that it's not possible. While he promises to work on providing strawberries, he urges Catherine to recognize her good fortune, highlighting the suffering of soldiers and slaves. In a passionate plea, Catherine suggests that they can bring an end to such suffering by reading her books and governing Russia in a different manner. Peter asserts his sole right to rule and questions the fate of the girl who once presented him with a twig. Catherine responds by stating that she was figuratively beaten to death by his disdain. In return, the emperor remarks that it's still better than physical beatings. When his wife disagrees, he sucker punches her. As he stands over Catherine, Peter commands her to be happy, warning her of the consequences if she ever angers him, stating that it will only result in endless pain. While out drinking, Catherine implores Mariel to assist her in escaping, but the maid flatly declines. Later on, Mariel informs the archbishop that Catherine is unhappy and desires to flee. Subsequently, with the aid of Mariel and Vlad, Catherine attempts to escape by hiding inside a chest destined for Austria. As punishment for her actions, Peter nearly drowns her, while Grigor watches anxiously. Disillusioned and despondent, Catherine discards her list and contemplates ending her life. Witnessing the Empress' intentions, Mariel instructs Vlad to prepare for the mess. Catherine expresses her belief that she was brought to Russia for a significant purpose, though now thinks it's a joke. Mariel then reveals that in Russia, if the emperor dies, the throne passes to the empress. The maid reminds Catherine of her vision featuring a bear, suggesting that the dream was symbolic of Russia rather than Peter. Subsequently, Mariel excuses herself to make preparations for an impending burial. In that moment, with her own whispered huzzah, Catherine resolves to pursue a different goal. Soon after an emotionless attempt to conceive an heir, the emperor proceeds to attend a party. His interaction with Catherine has left him somber, and Grigor attempts to uplift his friend's spirits. However, it is a moment with Georgina that truly brings Peter joy. While bathing, Catherine discusses with Mariel about her plan to overthrow the emperor. While the maid suggests swiftly assassinating Peter, the empress hesitates to resort to cold-blooded murder. Instead, she envisions rallying the people against the emperor, uniting them around a shared belief. She determines that Orlo, with his visionary nature, is the perfect ally. Mariel calls her mad, pointing out that Orlo is skilled in the Game of Thrones and may betray Catherine to advance his own position. The Empress confidently responds that her brilliance is often mistaken for madness. Elsewhere, Peter presides over his court, where it becomes evident that one of his counts, Rostov, still has a beard despite the recent ban on facial hair, except for his guards and priests. As the Emperor appreciates the peaches from Rostov's province, he emphasizes his commitment to modernizing Europe, starting with the elimination of beards. Rostov pleads on his knees, requesting special dispensation from Peter. Despite Peter's initial dismissal, Orlo intervenes, urging the emperor to consider his count's plea. He engages in debate with Grigor, who argues that the beard is a clear act of rebellion. Rostov opens up about his insecurity regarding his disfigured face, which the beard conceals, expressing concern that his wife will be repulsed once she sees his bare face. However, Peter asserts that his own happiness takes precedence over his wife and orders Rostov to return the following day clean-shaven. The Count, seething with anger, leaves the scene with Orlo following closely behind. Rostov expresses his disappointment, believing that his family's importance in the region would be valued by the emperor. Orlo reveals that Peter is often influenced by peer pressure and assures the man that he'll gather allies to support him in his upcoming appearance. Later, Catherine attends a party in search of Orlo. She politely declines an invitation from Svenska, and Mariel, still harboring anger from their earlier argument, accidentally spills drinks on Svenska's dress. The ladies of the court begin whispering their disdain for the empress, unaware that Aunt Bet is nearby and overhears their exchange. Orlo attempts to convince Grigor that Rostov's beard is not just about appearance, but a matter of free will. He mentions Georgina as an example of someone exercising her freedom, which angers Grigor, prompting the scholar to withdraw. Soon, Catherine finds herself with Orlo, who invites her to read a new pamphlet together. She seizes the opportunity to test the scholar's loyalty by ridiculing Peter in front of him. The suppressed smile on Orlo's face confirms Catherine's suspicions, and she instructs Mariel to arrange a secret meeting once Orlo departs. Still seeking allies for the beard incident, Orlo tracks Velementov in the gardens, drunk. The general dismisses the importance of beards and reminds the scholar that going beardless was his idea. Orlo argues that it's a modern court concept and a potential gateway to introducing more progressive ideas to Peter. Velementov agrees to support Rostov if Orlo helps him with his debts, to which the scholar reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, Aunt Bet, known for her eccentricities, is training her butterflies when Peter enters. She calls him to discuss Catherine's growing unhappiness, and Peter responds by blaming his wife for the issue, claiming that everyone loves him except her. Hearing this, Aunt Bet shares that his mother once confided in her about seeing something rancid in Peter. She wonders if Catherine sees the same thing in him. Peter admits to punching Catherine, considering it a possible cause for her unhappiness. Aunt Bet suggests that while some individuals might enjoy such treatment, his wife might not be one of them. In her quarters, Catherine organizes her thoughts and prepares some bullet points to discuss with Orlo, hoping to captivate his intellect and inspire him with visions of a better Russia. Mariel suggests that seduction might be easier to achieve their goals, offering some pointers to Catherine. She even mentions that oysters are known to enhance one's mood, prompting the Empress to shovel down multiple oysters. Soon Orlo arrives, only to find Catherine in a compromising pose, but his obliviousness prevents him from perceiving her intended seduction. Despite her best efforts, the Empress' attempts at seduction fall flat, and the situation worsens when the oysters she consumed earlier cause her an upset stomach. Orlo apologizes and makes a quick exit. Undeterred, Catherine follows after him and reveals her plans for rebellion, hoping to garner his support. However, Orlo dismisses her plans and walks away, leaving Catherine anxious of her failure. The next day, Catherine confides in Mariel about her failed attempt with Orlo, and the maid warns her about the potential betrayal of her plans to Peter. Just then, Catherine receives a summons to meet with the Emperor, causing her alarm. When Catherine meets with Peter, she's surprised to find him eager to please her, offering strawberries as a peace offering. He acknowledges his faults and expresses a desire for her happiness, offering her strawberries, a new bear, and a lover of her choice. He wants her to be happy or else he'll be forced to kill her, which he's not inclined to do. However, despite this apparent change in demeanor, Catherine angrily spits out the strawberry, declaring it and Peter to be rancid. She storms out, rejecting his peace offering, leaving the Emperor furious. Meanwhile, Mariel pays a visit to her cousin, the Archbishop, and shares the details of Catherine's mishap with Orlo. She expresses concern that the scholar may use the incident to gain favor in court. The maid also points out that it would be disadvantageous for her cousin as well, as he played a significant role in arranging the marriage. The Archbishop assures Mariel that he'll handle the situation. She pinches his chest before leaving, knowing the Archbishop likes the pain. Elsewhere, Catherine desperately pursues Orlo, urging him to join her in overthrowing Peter and building a progressive Russia under her rule. She believes that together they can bring about positive change. However, the scholar firmly rejects her offer, stating that choosing him as her ally is a testament to her foolishness. He assures her that for their safety, he'll keep their conversation a secret between them. During a hunting outing, Peter announces his plan for Catherine to suffer a tragic carriage accident the following week. Velementov, the Archbishop, and Orlo all express their disagreement, each defending the Empress in their own way. The Emperor dismisses them, turning to Grigor and Georgina for their opinions. Grigor advises against it, stating that it would reflect poorly on Peter since it's already widely known that Catherine is unhappy. On the other hand, Georgina supports Peter's decision, suggesting that the court will quickly forget about his wife. Peter and Georgina share a kiss in front of Grigor, who has a sudden interest in the son. The Emperor justifies his actions by claiming that all he wants is for Catherine to be happy and to provide him with an heir, which he has been unable to do so far. As Orlo and the Archbishop engage in a conversation about the Empress' prospects and their own motivations within the court, they find themselves becoming unlikely allies. Recognizing that they both have something to gain from Catherine's existence, they strike a deal. Orlo agrees to provide guidance to the unhappy Empress. In return, the Archbishop promises his support for Rostov to keep his beard. Elsewhere, Grigor and Georgina share a tender moment together, showcasing the depth of their understanding and connection. In the palace, Mariel visits her old residence. However, her encounter takes an unexpected turn when she comes face to face with Svenska, threatening her with punishment for trespassing. Instead of cowering, Mariel seizes the opportunity and attacks Svenska. Later, Orlo secretly visits Catherine, reporting that her blatant unhappiness will lead to her demise, as the Emperor wants to end her. He swiftly leaves, and Catherine calls for Mariel, but only Vlad answers her summons. Concerned, she commands to be brought to her maid. In the servants' quarters, Catherine witnesses Mariel receiving treatment for her injuries. Embarrassed, the maid intimidates Vlad, who quickly flees the scene. Shortly after, the Archbishop arrives, intending to deliver a message to his cousin but instead finds himself face to face with the Empress. He cryptically shares a vision of impending danger that would be averted with a smile. Later at a social gathering, Catherine musters her best fake smile and engages in conversation with Aunt Bet, who's still occupied with her butterflies. During their discussion, Aunt Bet reveals a disturbing aspect of Peter's upbringing, his mother's undue viciousness towards him. She recounts instances where Peter would become paralyzed with fear and even wet himself. This upbringing has shaped Peter's desperate search for approval and love from others, leading him to desire the same understanding from Catherine. Catherine, putting on a facade of cheerfulness, approaches Peter and showers him with compliments, attributing her previous sour mood to her monthly cycle. She inquires about the purpose of the party, and the Emperor proudly shares that it's a celebration of their recent victory against the Swedes. As the festivities unfold, with lively dancing and various performances, Catherine appears to genuinely revel in the atmosphere. The party is filled with extravagant displays, but the highlight is Peter's toast to the soldiers who sacrificed their lives and limbs in the war. For dessert, Peter instructs that they enjoy their sweets next to the heads of their fallen enemies. Although uncomfortable, Catherine maintains a smile, engages in light-hearted banter, and even goes along with Peter's request to mess with the lifeless heads. Later that evening, as Catherine is preparing to retire for the night, Peter pays her a visit. She puts on a facade of enjoyment, pretending to relish their intimacy despite her true feelings. Once Peter leaves, the Empress barges into the scholar's quarters, accusing him of reading grand ideas but being dead to their message. Orlo, pragmatic in his aspirations, admits his disappointment with the state of the country but warns Catherine against the gravity of treason, emphasizing the weight of such actions. Disappointed in Orlo's lack of conviction, Catherine wishes he was a man that would let the flames of passion burn away the fear, letting him do what's needed to transform Russia, even if it meant sacrificing his life. However, realizing that Orlo is not that person, she apologizes and leaves. When Catherine passes by the banquet hall, she retrieves the dismembered heads and brings them to the Archbishop for a proper Christian burial, showing her respect for the fallen. The next day at court, after the Empress heeded Aunt Bet's words, Peter surprises everyone by announcing that he's giving Catherine another chance. Orlo takes advantage of the good mood and invites Count Rostov to make another appeal, aligning with him on the idea that beards should be a matter of personal choice and freedom. Velementov supports their stance, albeit with faltering words that fail to convince Peter. Still equating the beards with rebellion, Grigor disagrees with the idea, but when the Archbishop concurs, Orlo is taken aback at the betrayal. Without sufficient pressure, Peter maintains his stance on the matter. Frustrated and uncharacteristically losing his temper, Orlo snarls that free will is a crucial element in a nation's happiness. This angers the Emperor, and he grabs a dagger, pointing it at the scholar in a threatening manner. Unexpectedly, Peter decides to assert his power and free will in a different way. Instead of violent acts, Peter flips the blade and commands Orlo to shave Count Rostov. The Emperor emphasizes that he has the free will to refuse, but there will be consequences for his defiance. Thus, the scholar reluctantly carries out the task, symbolizing Peter's authority overpowering his ideals. Before long, Orlo appears before Catherine, bloody and determined.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.